All right, I'm going to move us along to this week in the way back. Every episode, we take a look back at some of the games that released in the kind of these 2 weeks many moons ago. It's just nice to reminisce sometimes. Tam, I'm going to go to you. What's your this week in the way back?
I think Ralph mentioned this earlier, but Marvel vs. Capcom 2
Oof.
that came out.
What
This
absolute
day, many
masterpiece.
years ago, a masterpiece of a video game. Just
Hmm.
the one of the best fighting games of all time. I would
Yep.
say probably the best video game soundtrack ever created.
Yes, I think
I
you're
would
quite
say.
right.
And the best thing about that soundtrack is you can put it over any game and it
Yeah.
improves that game. So I used to do these stream, which were Hades jukebox streams, which is like I would turn the music down in Hades and let whoever's watching the chat select what music it was.
Sure.
And whenever I put on Marvel vs. Capcom 2, people would be like, "This is fucking awesome. Let's just do this." So I would just play Hades through the Marvel vs. Capcom soundtrack, and it would work so good. Responsible for many memes. One of the best fighting games ever created.
It really was, wasn't it? I mean, we grew up with fighting games in my house. We were never super serious about them, but like we definitely had Marvel vs. Capcom. We had Street Fighter 2, and we had and Mortal Kombat, the original, and 3, and Soul Calibur. But I think the one that we probably put the most time in, I think the one we put the most time is probably Soul Calibur. But I think number 2 is Marvel vs. Capcom because we just loved it so much. It was just like, yeah, it was incredible. What a game! What a game!
I love the art. I love the way the characters look. Like seeing all my favorite characters, but like in these styles is so cool. Even the cabinet itself, like, just looks so sick.
Yep. Yeah.
If you just go to Google and type in Bengus, Bengus, that's the artist behind that style. The amount of times that I just go to Google Images and look at Bengus's work, it's just so fucking good. Oh my god!
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool. Well,
Jake?
I got. Oh, sorry. Okay, Jake, yeah, please.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
Ralph, go
I know,
ahead.
so, well,
Just
I got
steamroll me. Yours
So-
is good.
So that same sort of vintage, that same sort of era. It was 25 years ago today. Banjo-Kazooie released on the Nintendo 64.
Oh my god.
Speaking of like greatest games of all time, arguably one of the greatest 3D platformers ever. I mean, yeah. Like, well, hang on. Is there anything better than Mario and this? Is there any better 3D platformers than those two games?
Croc.
Klonoa.
Legend of the Gobos, baby.
Spyro.
Nah,
Yeah.
Spyro sucks. Sorry. Is that just bring more haters onto this podcast?
All these Greek people are like, what did you say about Spiros? Banjo-Kazooie, incredible, absolutely flawless, top to bottom, every inch of its design, every like creative idea and mechanics. The soundtrack, Grant Kirkhope, just absolutely flawless, just like unmistakable in every single note. I don't know, man. It's just, I don't want to say they don't make them like this anymore, but it almost feels like they don't make them like this anymore. Like, it just what an incredible achievement for that game to exist in that way. Just this raw burst of creativity and perfection on every single axis. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. And then Nuts and Bolts. You know, so Banjo-Tooie and then Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah.
So, well, you know, things have to end eventually. So,
The good times can't last forever.
that's right.
Jake, what's yours?
Mine is 24 years ago, in 1999. It was the Japan release, but we're going to roll with it. Dino Crisis released. And Dino Crisis hit at a time where everything was perfect. Not really. It was not the case, but I was a little kid, so everything was. Dinosaur stuff was at a high. We had Jurassic Park: The Lost World. Survival horror, Resident Evil style stuff was at a high. We were in the thick of that. Resident Evil 1, 2, 3. And Dino Crisis was just a perfect storm of that type of stuff. Is it as good as the Resident Evil games? No. The first one, I think, is the only one I actually really played, but it was very cool because it retained some of that tension, and especially the early moments of that game, the way they build the fear of like the raptors and everything and the gore was just so great.
Yep.
The main character not as memorable, but just it was and it's one of the few of those types of games that I just never went back and replayed. So I could be totally rose-colored glasses with this.
No.
But it was
sick.
special.
I mean, I refuse to believe that's not being remade. Like, I refuse to believe. I would bet my life savings on the idea that right now Capcom are working. There's a team there working away remaking this game. Because imagine not remaking this game. Can you imagine just leaving it there, all the potential this IP has, and not doing anything with it? Come on, man. So no way. No. There's people working on it, man, and I don't want to hear otherwise. Okay, don't upset me. I can't.
Let him dream,
I can't do it.
Tam.
I can't
I'm
do
not
Let him
taking it away
dream.
from you. I hope it's happening.
Mine, just because, it's a game that I really, really enjoyed. And it's just because I can't believe it's been that long. But 8 years ago, Batman Arkham Knight.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe it's
Damn.
been 8 years already. It's
Damn,
wild.
sure.
And the one issue with Arkham Knight, there are a few issues with Arkham Knight, but the thing is that Troy Baker at that time was in so many video games that I immediately recognized his voice.
Who does he
So-
play in? Who does he play in it?
The night.
He's the Arkham
The
Knight.
Knight.
Oh, okay. It's
But,
been a long time since
but
I've
also
played it,
there's
right.
there is a twist to it too about the Knight's true identity, and so I was like, well, got that.
Right.
But I miss the Rocksteady Arkham games so much, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. What an incredible trilogy!
Everyone always
just
shits all over the
phenomenal.
car combat in that game.
I
And
had
they're like,
no
I
problem
liked
with
it.
and
it.
I had everyone say it was so terrible they did the car, and I'm like, I thought
No.
it was fine. I don't
was
like everyone's like
fine.
it would ruin that game. I'm like, I don't get
had
why people are so
no
hung
issue.
up on it.
I
And I act-
actively like the Batmobile as a presence. I think the worst it gets is when it forces you to do the racetrack stuff. But
Sure,
otherwise,
sure,
I
sure,
think it's
sure.
incredibly
Yeah.
well implemented.
Yeah, and
I think I just got sick of some of the tank stuff after a while.
yeah.
And the fact that they made you fight Deathstroke, but he's like in a tank. It's like a car combat game. I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck? But that's it.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, especially
I
going
still
back.
can't believe how good it looked and looks.
Oh.
It
to
still
this
looks
day.
great.
Incredible.
On consoles.
Incredible.
On consoles.
Yeah, on consoles.
It looked good on the
Less-
on PC, but it just didn't work on PC. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's got the Street Fighter philosophy. Everybody has a
Sick
sick ass and
ass
cool
and cool
boobs.
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 That
It's
is our
raining.
t-shirt. That is a t-shirt, by the
Sick
way.
ass and cool
Sick ass
boobs.
and cool boobs.
What
Let
more
the
could we
L's
want
hit
from
the
this
floor.
world, whoever you are. It also
We should
like
genuinely
Arkham
be
Knight.
taking notes about these.
Yeah.
Arkham Knight is interesting too because it also is like encapsulates. I'm pretty sure it's definitely Kevin Conroy at his like meanest version of Batman,
Mhm.
Yeah.
his grittiest version of
Mhm.
Batman. Like it's very
Hmm.
intense, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of cool as like a unique snapshot.
Because mentally he's kind of like coming apart, but like he's going
Yeah.
through some shit, you know?
Yeah,
And I
Yeah.
really like that
Yeah.
angle as well, that like, the Joker in his head, and just like that really worked for me a lot. And
Oh, yeah.
I like that game. Like it really, I've never understood why it had such a rough reception. And it's that kind of thing where like, if I was in games media back then, how would I have viewed it? Because like I wasn't working games and I just played it. And I'm like, this rules. And yeah, so I don't know. Maybe I should go back and play it one of these days.
It
and
holds
just
up
see.
really well.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah.
really well. Yeah.
Sure.
Hope you enjoyed that clip of the Frames Per Second podcast. To check out the full episode, head over to SkillUp's YouTube channel or search Frames Per Second everywhere you get your podcasts.